Welcome back, and we are going to continue looking at doing some styling and some cleaning up. Last time we talked about CSS. We have these nice little links for our menu that we sort of cleaned up. And if we go to our task list, we've got this. But again, we've got some, we're using anchors, the A's with an href all over the place. And so it's a good time, I think, to do a little JavaScript and clean this up. So what we can do with that, we've sort of seen it already. We've got script tags that we can use, as we can use anywhere. So I'm just going to add within internally, this is for our internal items. I'm not going to do a global JavaScript file yet at this point, even though I've got the style sheet, but I'm not going to do the global JavaScript. Instead, I'm going to put it in the header, so this stuff will be picked up. And I'm going to create a little function, which is going to be really simple. And I'm going to be, let's say, go page. And it's going to get a page. And all it needs to do is, this is going to be my href. So window location equals page. Now that means I can go to each of these things. And now what I want to do is, we'll do it this way first. So I don't need to do this. What I need to do is, instead of this href, I'm going to do onClick at the div level. I'm going to do onClick equals go page. And then I'm just going to give it that same link that I had before. This is really simple JavaScript stuff. And that allows me to get rid of that link. So I'm going to do that for each of these. I'm going to come in, do a go page, except for this one's going to be /about, abloot, do about. Oh, I need to single quote that, my mistake, so that it looks right. And this one's going to be task. This one is tasks. This one is this long thing. And now let's take the same one. I'm going to do it essentially for my base, just because technically I should put this probably somewhere, a single file, but instead, let's go, wrong one. Instead, let's go through here. Oh, now this one actually, note, I'm still doing this table thing, so we'll leave it that way for now. But what we are going to do is we're going to clean this up a little bit too. And now this href, instead, we'll just put it right here. I'm going to put it on that onClick on that TD. So home, about, which I keep typoing that, and login just does an href. So it does that, or it does that. So that's pretty simple. Let's just do that because we didn't actually go to the login. So that just keeps it there. Login doesn't really do much for us. Let's make sure we got it. I'm going to close that. And I don't need that. All right, so I don't need the href stuff. Don't need the A. Don't need that. I do need to close it. And I'm going to put those two. So now, just changing this up a little bit. Let's go back to our task list. And, I don't think I got them all cleaned up. But let's log out. We'll see now that we've spaced this out a little bit. In this one, definitely we can see where each of these we don't have the underline as we go like we normally see, like here. So home got fixed, but the others didn't. So let's go fix that one. Well, let's go back to our task list. Just because we've got that, we can get rid of our color codes. Let's take a look at our internal. We have on click div. Oh, that's a mistake. We left our links here. It's that. There we go. So we get rid of all of our little excess tags, simplify this up a little bit. And now we're going to have a slightly better looking. So now we've got these all the way across. Now what we can do is we can now add, let's do the menu bar. And we'll just leave them sort of like that. And we've got menu item. So let's go back to our CSS real quick, and we're going to change. So our menu bar gives us our background. And let's see, let's do this. We don't need that color because we're going to change this. And let's actually change, well, yeah, let's give us a slightly different background. So let's go with, well, we've got this gray. Well, let's just do it this way. We'll change a little bit. So we're going to go to black text for our menu items, and we're going to do our background color of that. Let's do EEE. So it'll be this will be a little bit interesting to see how this goes. But if we do that, now we can see that our background's here. Oh, but we're overriding our background for our menu items. So now we could come in and let's change our width to, well, I don't know if we want to do that. Well, let's change our menu items. Let's clean those up a little bit and do a border. Much like we do there. And we'll keep it like that. So now, let's see what that looks like. Now we're seeing a little bit of a border there. And what we can do is now let's cut down. Let's see. Look at that. We can probably cut down our menu items just a tad. Well, actually, let's increase our border, our height there. Decrease our height there. And let's give ourselves just a little bit. Actually, let's take that whole thing. We'll do a little padding. And this is all stuff that you can easily play around with. Oops, that's not the board. I don't want my menu bar to have that. I want my menu item to have that. So let's do our margin bottom. We're going to keep it a little bit smaller. Left is about right. And padding. Let's just go with that for now. Let's see how that looks. Oh, and we are outside of our divs there, so that doesn't work real well. But you can see here where we do have, which is interesting enough, that's our margin. That we've got to push that up. We're going to push our padding up a little bit. But we can see now where we're starting to get some menu items to come out there. So if we do, let's drop our padding. And see how that looks. So now we're in there and we're centered a little bit. And let's see if those are our menu items. Well, let's go with that for now. We're just going to keep that so we don't get too far into our menu items. I did want to flip back over to JavaScript. So let's take a look here. Same thing that we did before is we have this href. Now in this case, because we already have the content, the header, we already have our here, we already have our go page, then we can do this same thing. We already have that included, and we're going to see where, since we added it up at the header level, we can get rid of those anchors there. And here, what it was our link before. So it was task ID. So let's do this. That's our page. Let's go back to there. Let's redo it. And then when we go page, oops, I don't need those quotes. Notice that I'm going to be able to go, and we'll take a look at this in a second, is that I'm just using this as a straight out replace on the Django side. So I can grab this ID and I can do this as a go page. And now, when I do this, now these links are gone. And well, let's just pick one. And we'll see here, task, oh, this is where I'm not logged in. My mistake. That's something we're going to correct in a minute here. And so now, if we look at the link here, we can see where it created out the task with my ID. And so now I've gotten rid of that, and I've got my JavaScript floating all over the place, and I can pretty easily, jump around and do something simple. Now let's do one more thing real quick. Let's say that I want to add in each one of these. Well, let's see. Let's instead do it here. So if I go in here, I have my saved record, but we'll go from the list. So let's say I come in here, and what I really want to do is I just wanted to do for something that's not complete, then I'm going to come in and do something a little different with that. So let's tweak this a little bit and see what we can do with it. So we're going to come in now, and we're going to do our on click. Instead, we're going to actually create a couple buttons because we're going to play around with this a little bit. So let's see, what did we do here? We've got, let's clean this up. Well, we'll cover cleaning up a little bit later. So let's add two buttons. And this is going to be edit. And that's the one that we did before. And we're going to make his class equal to button info just because. Actually, I think it's button hyphen info. And we're going to do a second one, which is going to be complete. And that's going to give us an opportunity to do like a quick call. So what we do here, let's do it very simple right now. So this is just going to be a complete task. And I'm going to give it my task ID. And here, I'm going to give this ID equals. And so this is going to be something we're going to play around with more later. But let's see, my ID is going to be equal to my task ID. And it's going to be task underscore. So now what I'm going to do is, so the edit works the same way as it oh, let me create this real quick, just because otherwise it will complain. So let's do this first. So I'm going to do function. Well, let's just do it this way. We're going to keep it really simple for now. So complete task. And it has an ID. And then this is just right now, I'm going to say alert. Task ID is complete. So let's keep it simple right now. So I've changed it up So I don't click on my div to do anything. I actually click on buttons. And so we're going to see that here. Both of those are button infos. So if I go here, so now we see that I've got, and this is the default coloring. So now I can see if I edit, then I'm there. If I click on the div, it doesn't do anything. And if I hit complete, it's going to tell me that a certain task is complete. Now this is going to become very useful when we do my tasks, basically. So instead of all tasks, we're going to start playing around with some other ones. But for now, I think that gives us a good start. So let's roll this. We'll leave that because I'm going to go ahead and commit that change. By the way, day 18 and 19, the tags are going to turn out to be they're essentially going to point to the same. I forgot to specifically tag 18 as I sometimes do. So you'll see a couple extra, you'll see these files in the day 18, but you will also get that app.css, which is pretty critical for these kinds of things, so that we can start getting some of these pieces in place. That's a quick JavaScript. We're going to do a couple others, do a little more that's basically some Ajax kind of stuff next time around, just to get, we're going to actually start working on the idea of non-completed tasks. We're going to clean up our views a little bit and start fleshing out our application a little bit more. So that being said, I think it's time to get back to your day. So go out there, have yourself a great day, and we will talk to you next time.